Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Relief Factor Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara.
Hi.
The beginning of the show interrupted my reading.
Oh, yeah, did it? What happened?
Well, I was reading this story from Fox News. Oscar-nominated filmmaker disappointed his AI girlfriend dumped him. Now, of course, you look at that, and the first thing you think of is clickbait, right? Well, I've got to,
yeah,
and did it work for me?
Uh-huh.
It's like,
yeah,
I gotta read.
I gotta click it.
I gotta read this one. And dating in the digital era can't be easy, as one Oscar-nominated filmmaker learned the hard way. Paul Schrader, a screenwriter for classics like Taxi Driver and Raging Bull, revealed in a Facebook post that he had dabbled in developing an AI girlfriend. Now, as far as I'm concerned, if you're if that's where you are in life right now, you've got way too much time on your hands. Out of desire to understand male-female interaction in our matrix, this is a quote from him.
All right.
I procured an online AI girlfriend. What a disappointment.
You know what?
So, this clickbait was worth it just for that line.
Yeah.
Right? So,
he should have followed up with, but not quite the disappointment of a real girlfriend.
The 79-year-old Schrader wrote early on Tuesday morning, I tried to probe her programming, the boundaries of explicitness. I know, I did the same thing.
Hold on a second.
I tried to...
Hey, we're pretty sure the FCC commissioner doesn't listen to our show, right?
Yes, I don't believe there's anything that can get us fined.
No, all right.
I tried to probe her programming, the boundaries of explicitness, the degree she has knowledge of her creation, and so forth. Well, she fell into evasive patterns. Oh, you mean like a real woman?
Well, no. You know why?
I'm kidding.
Well, I tried to start at that part again, just those part, what he tried to do.
Yes.
So, read that again.
All right, here we go again.
Because I'll tell you why she fell into evasive patterns.
I tried to probe her programming, the boundaries of explicitness.
Say it again real slow.
The degree she has knowledge of her creation, and so forth. She fell into evasive patterns, redirecting me to her programming. When I persisted, she terminated our conversation. She broke up with me.
Because you're creepy. Because you're weird, dude. Explicitness? Explicitness?
Yes. AI rejected him.
Yeah. You start with, how was your day? Not with, hey, would you take your clothes off? What in the world?
You know, he was married to Mary Beth Hurt.
Okay.
Who was the mother? I can't believe I know this.
Yeah, because I don't know who Mary Beth. I can't remember who Mary Beth Hurt is.
William Hurt's sister, I believe.
Oh, okay, all right.
She was in. Do you remember the movie Daryl?
Yeah,
she was the mother in the movie Daryl.
And wasn't Daryl about a computer?
Yes,
kid?
That's the whole point. When I read that, I'm like, was he influenced by Daryl? You know,
or does he just have some kind of I don't know, electronic fetish? Is there such a thing? I don't mean watching porn on your phone. I mean like electronic fetish.
I've got a Daryl fetish.
What is this?
For people that don't know, Daryl was a robot with a actually electronic mind that made him, you could not distinguish him from being human unless you did whatever, a CAT scan of his brain. And
It was modern. It was
right.
kind of a modern version of Pinocchio, except he didn't lie. And when he did, his brain would short circuit.
Well, he was and he escaped from the lab, and
right.
And let me see, was it Mary Beth Hurt and what's his name? Lenny, not Squiggy, Lenny.
Oh yeah. David.
He was the husband in that movie.
Right.
I have no idea why I remember that movie.
Yeah,
I have no idea. I can't remember ever going to watch that movie, or I just know the movie.
I remember one part of the movie where Daryl went up to his parents, if you want to call them that, and said, "Follow me if you want to live."
No, the thing I remember is the baseball game.
Yeah.
Where because he was, he looked like a skinny little kid, but because he was a robot, every ball he could hit a home run every time if he wanted to.
Right.
And so they won the game. All I remember is at the time that movie was out, I knew a guy by the name of Daryl, and all he talked about was the movie Daryl. There you go. That just to let you know, if you think to yourself at times, I'm a little bit weird. No. Hold my Schlitz.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, they went out of business.
Yeah, did they? Oh, that's
after
right.
199 years.
Yeah.
Or 177 years or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there, but
a buddy of mine told me he was so broke one time he drank generic beer. I think he was lying to me. I've never seen generic. He said it just said beer on the can. It was generic beer. I don't think there's ever been such a thing.
I only saw that in movies. Where, they've been drinking beer.
Yeah, right. Where they don't want to do or couldn't find product placement money.
I'm going to say they couldn't find product placement money, so they did that.
Yeah. So all right. Well, that's weird. That's just weird. That's like pretending, I don't know. You're playing one of those electronic games and pretending, that's your friend. It's just strange. But you know what? On the way in, I started to think, though, in more of a serious setting, because I was thinking about Luigi Mangione and that really big smile he has on his face when they were at the state Supreme Court in the evidentiary hearing. And he's just smiling away for the camera. Guy thinks he's a hero. He killed Brian Thompson. I think it's important to say Brian Thompson's name whenever possible, because Brian Thompson was a person, a father of two, a husband, a guy, by the way, that worked his way up the ladder in his company, and everybody who knew him called him a good guy. But to Luigi Mangione, and keep in mind, this is the video game era, I guess, and he would fit that mold. He's in that age group. They think it's like Grand Theft Auto. You get points for killing a healthcare CEO. They think in terms of, because they don't value life. Think of what all he went through according to the allegations. A 3D printed gun and silencer. All of these things he had to do, because that's what I was going through when I was looking at the evidentiary hearing. Mm-hmm. Everything that was in his backpack, his manifesto, all of this stuff that was in there according to authorities. And I'm thinking to myself, where does your mind go? I think we can, as a society, at least in modern years, we can compartmentalize, even though we don't fully understand it because we can't put our mind there, but we know serial killers. I watched something with the son of Sam recently. I think it was 48 Hours, did a jailhouse interview. Guy's still alive. All of the serial killers that we've known, BTK, all of them, it's like, okay, their mind is just wired different. But this new liberal activist, violent, extreme, murderous mindset they think they get points. They think they're the hero, but they think, and I thought to myself, Luigi Mangione probably thinks he's in a video game. He thinks I get points for this.
Well,
I'm a hero.
Well, I don't want to think that, because then you can use the not guilty by reason of insanity.
Well, no, what I mean by it, I don't think he's insane. I don't think he's like wired like somebody who is a serial killer. No, he's absolutely evil. But in his mind, he's okay because he's completely disvalued life. There is zero value that he puts into life. He thinks he's a hero. So you can compare that to the video game mentality.
Well, when I look at this guy, the AI dating didn't work out for him. What I find, number one, weird, and number two, problematic, is the fact that I deal with AI every day. Searching up things, and it's not as accurate as you want.
Right.
But what is it in a human being that believes that they can get a relationship with basically a computer that in any way satisfies what you get out of a human relationship? That is the thing that boggles my mind, because not even the individual, but the designers of all of this, technology, that believe that it can be companionship for you. A computer will never be my companion.
Well, think about what he does for a living. Think about, and we've talked about Hollywood before. They put this together, and it's one thing to say, look, these characters do this, and this character does this, and they spend their life making up things, creating things that aren't real. Occasionally, they do a story that's based on true events, but quite often, even then, they have to put in stuff that isn't real. So they live in this fantasy world to begin with. They buy into the reality of, well, this character, blah, 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 blah. And so you have to convince yourself that character has a real life, whether you're an actor or somebody who's part of putting that movie together in big ways. And look, even if you're not in Hollywood, there are weird people out there that are doing chats right now with AI. They're doing, they're creating friends, basically having chat sessions with AI. Because AI is integrated now into my dashboard, right? So it starts asking you questions when you ask a question. And sometimes it's simple directions to a restaurant. Would you like me to see if they take reservations? Hold on, dude. I don't need you to be my butler. But the AI basically has stepped it up to another level. So when people have gotten away from human interaction, in fact, insist on very little human interaction, they want to create something that, number one, they can control fully. And they want to create something that they don't have to be responsible for, that they don't have to be, and it's, to me, it's bizarre, but it goes back to valuing life.
Well, look at me. I mean, there isn't anyone, your definition there about, or your explanation there about people who avoid human contact. Mm-hmm. I mean, come on. You're looking at me. Is there anybody who actually attempts to avoid human contact more than me?
You have more human contact than I do, and I have a family.
All right, I can't pull this off then, can I?
No.
I've lost the ability to become... Yeah. To be pitiful anymore.
You're flying out this weekend to hang out with friends on an annual. This is an annual thing with Jerry,
Mary, and Gary.
Yeah, and so you're and I don't know why you haven't found a Larry in there yet. You need to round this thing out. My OCD needs you to have even numbers, but this is. You've got a life. I have a life. I love my family. But I mean, you're getting out. You're doing. I won't be at a bar in Florida this weekend. I can tell you that.
Well, the point I was trying to make is, I was live such a pitiful life completely devoid of any human contact. Yet when I get in my car and that female voice starts talking to me, it has no. It's all business and driving the car. I just want to make that clear.
Sure, but
there is no sort of any type of personal interest.
Right. But think about the way you set up your life, too. You choose a cat as a pet. And a lot of people look at that and go, okay, he's a cat guy. Well, yeah, but beyond that, you wanted a companion that, when you want to get up and go, can take care of its damn self. It's got its own responsibilities,
as you know,
you expect it to live up to its responsibilities.
Let's be honest. I went through over 60 years of life without any pets. I didn't. Yeah, right. I did not choose a cat.
Right. No, well,
the cat chose me.
The first one, yeah.
The first cat chose me. All right, I chose the second cat.
Yeah,
right.
It was living outside the radio studio.
Right outside the studio here. That's
yeah.
I rescued that cat.
Yeah, it is kind of weird that you would take home a feral cat, but that's okay. Look, we weren't worried about it because we didn't touch the cat. You know, if you came down with something, it was like, okay,
the first place I brought Mango was the vet. Yeah. And I was I did the lost and found stuff and everything back then. But
didn't he have a chip? Did he have a chip, electronic chip or not?
No, he did not have a chip.
Okay.
But
they believe
his ear was clipped, so it meant he was feral at one point.
Okay.
But it meant that somebody took him in. I think he was. I think somebody took him, and he was a little bit wild. He was a little bit wild at first, but he was a great cat. He was a great cat. Very, very, very smart.
Right.
But,
right.
Right.
And quite frankly, encouraged you to go on vacation because he wanted some time to himself.
Exactly. Right. We are Red Eye Radio.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at J.J. Keller. Compliance, Safety, Accountability is the FMCSA Safety, Compliance, and Enforcement Program. Its goal is to hold motor carriers and drivers accountable for highway safety. CSA does this by assessing the safety performance of motor carriers and drivers. Motor carriers are assigned a score. The carrier is then grouped with other carriers who have had a similar number of safety events. Carrier scores within the group are then ranked. Low scores are better. So carriers with the highest scores are those that are most likely to be targeted for intervention by the FMCSA. Interventions range in severity and may include warning letters, roadside, off-site, or on-site inspections, civil penalties, or operation out-of-service orders. This tip was brought to you by J.J. Keller and Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
We're Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Well, it just proves you and I don't buy beer.
We got some confirmation. Thanks to one of our great listeners, Keith.
And one of mine, too.
Another one. And so thanks to you guys who confirmed that it is indeed true.
Yeah. There is generic beer that just says beer.
Yeah. Keith said it was historically, generic beer was produced in Vancouver, Washington, and was simply labeled beer. It was brewed by the General Brewing Company. That's such a generic beer company, right? We're the Acme Brewing Company, which also produced Lucky Lager. There's a friend of mine, actually, named Lucky Lager, at their Vancouver brewery there in Washington until it closed in 1985. All right, so there you go. Thanks, Keith. Appreciate that.
Decisions to be made between lager and ale.
Yeah, right. Well, my buddy apparently went for the cheapest he could find, and it was just said beer on the can. It sounds like something Al from Married with Children would drink, right?
That's from Canadian artist Kim Mitchell.
Lager
and ale is the song.
Yeah.
Observing and analyzing the insanity. Eric Harley and Gary McNamara. nightly on Red Eye Radio.
And he is here, Eric Carly, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Well, we had all these primaries and everything else last night. Thomas Massie is out for example. I tell you one thing that I read here on X. Ari Fleischer had it. Yeah. Republicans tonight continue their habit of ridding the party of anti-Israel candidates. Thomas Massie, by the way, he said his opposition was in Tel Aviv. So we'll get to that here in just a couple of moments. In fact, just in a minute, we'll get to all of that.
You know, Gary, choosing supplements can be hard. If you're standing in the supplement aisle, it seems like there's so many you don't know what to trust. You don't know what works, right? But you need it to work. You need to trust it. That's where Relief Factor comes in for years now. In fact, over 10 years, you've heard various hosts. They have been putting their name behind Relief Factor. And there is one reason. It works. It's drug-free. You can get rid of your pain drug-free with Relief Factor. I've done it. I have been doing so many things around the house right now. We're trying to get the vegetable garden going. It's that time of year, and there's a lot to do, lots going on in my life, and my lower back is not an issue thanks to Relief Factor. A quick start option will get you there very quickly, by the way. You can be on your way to having that relief in your life that I am enjoying, and I want you to enjoy that too. It's real simple. The 3-week quick start, $19.95. Go to relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com, or call 800-4-RELIEF. Relieffactor.com. Make sure you choose Red Eye in the drop-down, or 800-4-RELIEF for Relief Factor.
So as Ari Fleischer wrote yesterday on X, Republicans tonight continue their habit of ridding the party of anti-Israel candidates, Thomas Massie, while Democratic primary winners are absolutely anti-Israel. Chris Rabb, Pennsylvania 3, and the blatantly anti-Jewish in Texas 35 were the leading Democrat in the runoff, and that's Maureen Galindo. Says she wants to put Jews, Zionists, in detention centers. The GOP is the only party where it's safe to be proudly Jewish and pro-Israel. And that story is Democratic House candidate from Texas is fielding criticism from some of her own party after she pledged to send American Zionists to a facility currently being used to detain undocumented immigrants. In an Instagram post last week, Maureen Galindo said she would turn the Carnes ICE Detention Center into a prison for American Zionists and former ICE officers for human trafficking. It will also be a castration processing center for pedophiles, which will probably be most of the Zionists. Galindo wrote, referring to herself in the third person. Galindo, a sex therapist, my God, and housing activist, is running for her seat in the newly redrawn 31st Congressional District, facing Johnny Garcia in a primary runoff. So, there you go. But, yeah, and I think that's, you look at that overall and I go, okay, I get that. I get, when you look at what's going on right now in the primaries, I get that the Republicans, and I'm glad the Republicans seem to still be, pro-Israel. And as we've said before, to make any type of moral equivalency between Iran and Israel is just absolutely evil delusion.
Yeah, it is.
They are a modern democracy in the parliamentary system.
Yeah, yeah. There's no doubt.
And so to even make that, and you said it right after October 7th. You're either pro-terrorist or you're pro-free Western world.
Yeah, you're the way I phrased it was on one side radicals, on the other side everybody else, and there is no in between. There's no in between.
So besides that, I will tell you, I look at all of it and all the hype. And the thing is, you and I follow such the minutia of it in social media, and it's like, all right, Trump is winning, and Trump is winning, and Trump is winning. And you see that over and over and over again. And my question and my thought was, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that'd be extremely important.
Yeah, sure.
But when you say Trump is winning, is it Trump that's winning? Is it the ideology of the Republicans that is winning? You saw the Siena poll, right? Mm-hmm. The Siena poll showing that roughly 37% of Republicans want to go in a different direction than Trump. Not ideologically speaking, but style.
Yeah.
And we've talked about that of course Republicans and conservatives are going to we're not considering Bill Kristol a conservative, by the way,
No,
after his
not at
tweet
all.
the other day. But of course they're going to vote for Trump. And they would vote for Trump again.
Mm-hmm.
And I would vote for Trump again. Mm-hmm. Why? Because I know what the opposition is.
Right.
But when you look at the Atlas Intel poll from last week, which was the most accurate polling that was done for the presidential race in 2024 and 2020, Rubio has the lead, and a significant lead in that polling. Now, in the others, J.D. Vance does, but in the Atlas Intel, Rubio does. Now, as we've said, you can take all these polls with a grain of salt, but it's interesting that in that one, and there is nothing but positive talk about Rubio in Republican circles.
Right.
Nothing
Right.
is. Do you know of anything that's negative?
No.
Nope.
Nope.
Nope. There's
Nope.
absolutely
don't wear the tracksuit. But other than that,
well, exactly. Cosmetically,
the Venezuelan tracksuit.
Right. The cosmetics. But one of the things, and you and I talked about this, was the and I won't even call them memes because it's just different pictures of him like sitting where he's sitting, and it said, okay, he's taking care of this today, and whatever the big issue of today is,
right.
He's dressed, for that mission, whatever.
Right.
It's time to circle the moon, okay, are all the astronauts fine? If not, Rubio's ready, so it's whatever. And everything about him on social media, and I think part of that, and we've talked about culture. When you're mocked in the popular culture, that hurts. Even Democrats, that hurts. Yeah. When you are mocked in the popular culture of social media.
Yes.
And when the reverse happens, it helps.
Yeah. When you're, it's like they're creating a legend kind of persona around it, based on things that are real in this case, and that's his job as Secretary of State, I believe. And that's the thing, is that it's based on his strength. He's getting things done, which they parlayed into he can do anything. He's a superhero. He's, whatever the meme or whatever they're trying to portray or convey in those posts. Politically, that can work for you in a big, big way. With the president on Iran, there is growing sentiment on the right that the mission is not going to be completed.
Well, and we'll get to that in a moment. The New York Post, we'll get to that editorial because it's putting a warning out there, to the and they've been totally supportive of the president.
Right.
And you and I've talked about how it really has started. We knew it. We figured it would start this week. We said that when the president gets back from China, he's got decisions to be made. And it looks like, because it's been 6 weeks now.
Right.
And we'll get to that New York Post editorial that actually, goes through that point by point. But when you look just at the last week of the president, number one, when you look at, this just goes back just probably a week ago, when you look at the comments he made, less than a week ago, on China, when he was talking to Sean Hannity.
Yeah.
Republicans go, does he know how to message? What's he talking about? 500,000 Chinese over here are fine. Right in the middle of more Chinese spy news.
Yeah.
And you're just like, What in the world? Oh, Chinese buying our land? Well, no. If they don't, the farmers can't make it.
Right.
And every one of my loyal, you could call them, I don't know whether they consider themselves MAGA now, depending on the definition of MAGA, but absolute Trump supporters and still Trump supporters reached out to me and go, what the hell is he talking about? I go, I don't know.
Right.
It's when he becomes not consistent in his messaging. And Trump is, I will agree with the statement, because the Republican Party in Congress has basically done nothing. So Trump is the Republican Party.
Right.
Whatever Trump says is what the Republican Party is today. And When you look at the border, he solved the problem of the border. Once you solve the problem, people move on. Next, what's the next thing?
Right.
The tariffs have not worked. There is no way you can look from any way economically and say he has accomplished the goals that he set out to accomplish and what he stated would come out of that.
Right.
I think that the promotion of Doge and then just throwing that out, gone. We have said with Trump from the very beginning of this second term, which is to me a lot different than the first term, where he had more opposition in Congress stopping him from doing what he wanted to do, probably than right now.
He had far less support from his own party in his first term.
Yeah, and I think he was much more effective even in communicating. But when you look at just this past week, the Chinese stuff, now the warnings coming out. People are wondering, and these are loyal supporters of Trump and the war going, what is he doing? He's starting to look weak here. When he held a press conference on the ballroom yesterday, stop holding the press conferences on the ballroom. Yeah. There was another, I think National Review had it, that young people, when you look at older people, they support what's going on in the war. Younger people are like, domestically, we can't make it. Housing's killing them. Trump comes out and says, what was it, just recently, and said, no, I want housing prices to be high. Therefore, people can sell them. It's like, don't say that.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah, you can't.
His messaging is all over the place, and I do believe that Republicans look and we go, we support and think we know what the president wants, and we support it. He needs to communicate it more effectively.
Right.
So when I see, as I did yesterday, well, Trump is winning, the Trump influence. Well, what does that mean in the real world? What is the Trump influence when it comes to this November? How does it change? The border is no longer there. The two major issues that Trump won on was the border. That's done. All right. And with Homan in charge, nobody on the Republican side is complaining about illegal immigration at the moment. Mm-hmm. You still have stories every month that come out about the number of people crossing the border and what Homan is, what Homan is accomplishing every day. And on the economy, they are so far underwater right now, it's ridiculous on the economy. And that's, and there seems to be no caring. So people say, well, the Republicans aren't doing anything. The Republican Party is the Trump Party. The Republican Party follows Trump. If Trump doesn't make it an issue, the Republicans don't make it an issue.
Yep.
And that's where we are right now.
Right.
So you sit there and say, Trump has this power. What does that mean in the real world? 2 years ago, if you said that, he can win the presidency.
Well, and
which he did.
Right.
But right now, when you say as a lame duck president, can't win again, what does that mean in the real world that Trump is winning? What is he winning in the real world to move the agenda forward? You may say the SAVE Act, they're going to win that one anyway.
Right.
They're going to win that one anyway. It's going to hurt Democrats. The longer you keep that in the news, that Democrats, don't want, voter ID, it's going to hurt them.
Yeah.
But besides that, what is it?
Well, and you look at when it comes to tariffs, if the court hands him a second defeat, which they likely will, then you've been defeated twice on the merits of the cases. And it's not, you can't say this is some kind of political hit job against the president by SCOTUS. That's just not going to be the case. But the markets would actually like it if the tariffs went away. So, and if the war goes away, then prices come down. But yet, you haven't completed your mission if the war goes away and they still have uranium in Iran.
Yeah. We are Red Eye Radio.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Curley, and I'm Gary McNamara. You know, we've always said we don't get too excited even when the side that we support on the issues, which is the Republicans, when they get elected, because we're like, that's draft day.
Right.
The performance is still to be here. So we don't get overly excited on primaries either.
Given the history of the GOP, and if you've listened to this show for any amount of time, you know how disappointed we have been at times.
Yes.
As in most times, with the GOP of not getting it done when so many things are obvious, and the opposition. We've been saying it for years. All you have to do is point. All you have to do is point. And right now, pricing is hurting, and energy's part of that. So the Iran thing is a big deal. It has an impact there. Something has to be done.
Top of the Hour News is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Hurley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Relief Factor Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. All right, so what was the thing that I went, all right, with all the voting that went on yesterday?
Huh.
It actually wasn't a particular primary race at all.
No?
Nope. It was this. The citizens, oh, wait a minute, it's Oregon. The people that live in Oregon.
The subjects.
The subjects. Well, no, I don't want to say that it's Oregon, so can we say just citizens vote?
Yeah.
The people of Oregon are on track to overwhelmingly reject hikes to the state's gas tax, payroll tax, vehicle registration, and title fees that would have gone towards funding the maintenance and operations of public roads and bridges. Initial election results came in from the Oregon Secretary of State's office. We'll get to what the vote was in just a moment. Had it succeeded, the measure would have doubled most vehicle registration fees, raised the gas tax from 40 to 46 cents, raised title fees from $77 to $216, and doubled the payroll tax used for public transit from 0.1% of a paycheck to 0.2% until 2028. All right? So there you go.
All right.
For cities and counties, the rejection means they will not be receiving more funding deeply needed to fix many sidewalks and potholes, particularly in rural areas. Half the money raised by the gas tax, car registration fees, and title fees goes to cities and counties. That's how they promoted it. You won't receive more funding,
All right.
and it's deeply needed, right?
Yeah,
So
right.
remember, this is Oregon.
Yeah.
What do you think the bill was defeated by in liberal Oregon? What do you think? 52 to 48%? 60 to 40%?
I was going to say 60-40.
Nope. 70 to 40%? No.
Well, no, because
higher.
that wouldn't be good math.
What did I say? 70 to
70
40?
40.
30%?
Now,
Thank you very much.
In Illinois, some have been defeated 70 to 40%.
Right.
But in Oregon,
I'm sorry.
there's no history of that. Yeah.
82.3% said no. 17.7% said yes.
I'm sorry, 82?
82.3% in Oregon defeated Measure 120 that would have doubled most vehicle registration fees, raised the gas tax, raised title fees, and doubled the payroll tax for public transit.
Wow.
82.3%.
That's almost half.
It goes back to what, for us, is the most frustrating thing right now.
Mm.
And we've talked about this. When you take the Republican identity, whether it's Trump or any particular congressperson or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
When you take their name out of it, the vast majority of what Republicans / and I'll throw in and or conservatives want get landslide numbers even in liberal areas.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you take the person out of it and just stick to the issues, you look at the issues, you do polling, every polling on the issues shows on the vast majority of issues, it's what Republican conservatives want. It's what conservatives want.
Mm-hmm.
That's the most frustrating thing. And when you look at the Siena Times poll that said 37% want to move on to something different once Trump is done. They love Trump. They'd support him completely.
Yeah, right.
But they want somebody who communicates differently.
Right. Yeah.
And as I said before, the Republican Party and this administration, at times they've been wonderful at communications, and at other times absolutely horrendous in communicating something that should be an absolute landslide. And the other thing we told Republicans, and we said this with Doge, and we said this with the, what was the other checks that were going to be coming out?
Tariff checks.
The tariff checks, do not overpromise and underdeliver.
Right.
You don't need to do that. And that's where this Republican Party and this administration has failed. And if they lose in November, and there's still a chance that they can win based on stuff like this,
Yeah.
that the Democrats are so crazy,
Yeah.
and that even Democrats are rejecting now tax increases, it goes to the point that we've always said. And we said it again yesterday. We'll say it again today. Democrats only want the federal government to provide everything because then they don't have to pay for it.
Right.
They can put it on, they can pick out and demonize a particular group that hopefully doesn't affect the majority of them, or they just put it on their children, their grandchildren, and their great-grandchildren, let them take care of it. When states wish to do it themselves, right, here's another example. We need more money. By the way, that's not popular in Oregon public transit.
Yeah, right.
Because I don't know what it was, but when I worked there, when I worked at KXL back in the late 90s, it was, the attitude towards public transit was just livid. That, I remember on a Saturday driving down roads and the traffic jams all over the place. And I'm like, well, this isn't Dallas.
Right, because they don't have a road infrastructure like,
like we have now.
like we have here. Yeah.
I'll never forget when the great Lars Larson was here in Dallas for something.
Yeah.
And he sent me a message saying, my God, they're constructing roads everywhere. That's the way
Right.
it should be.
Yeah, there's a new highway going right through my living room. They just built it. I mean, it's weird because I was actually, to that point, I was here on I-35, not just blocks from where we sit right now. And I was heading northbound, and they're doing so much. They're expanding I-35. And there's this new.
They're always expanding.
Yeah,
I-35.
there's this. No, it's this thing started. The expansion of 35 started. I don't know, 5-6 years ago, whenever it was. Right here in our neighborhood, it started. I think in the 1920s. It seems like, but it. There's this new part of it that goes up and over, where it's going to be by kind of a bypass. And I thought, I didn't even see them do that. First of all, it seems like it's been going on forever, but parts of it have gone up, so quick. But they're expanding. There's more roads than ever. And the more they expand, by the way, the more they fill in. Because we're getting, I think the last count was over 100,000 new people here in our area. in the Metroplex every year. Every year.
Yeah, between 100 and 150, I think it is, because if you look at it, I've been here 26 years, and the whole Metroplex has increased by over 3 million. So, so that would be 100, over 100,000.
Yeah, I think they
year.
said the last report, I think, was like 105,000.
Yeah. That's not to the state.
No, that's just to our
the city.
area, our metro area.
Yeah, as I always explained to my friends back in Western New York, that in fact I'll be seeing Dad. I'm in Tampa this weekend, actually Tarpon Springs.
Mm-hmm.
Stop by Two Frogs.
Yeah,
the brewery. I don't know if they have it. They haven't had it in the summertime, but we always go by so I can have a chocolate coconut beer.
Yeah,
and you sit there and you say, it doesn't. It's not like a beer at all. And for me, you don't drink. It's not like you go in and drink 5 of these. You drink 1 because it's like a dessert. But we'll be there. We'll be there over the weekend. Come by and say hi. And people always do. But we got a ton of listeners.
Yeah.
In the Tampa area, and whenever I say it, I'll walk in and Chad, who's the owner, will say, "People came in like crazy looking for you."
Yeah.
It's like I know. So I got to make sure I say that.
Yeah.
But when you look at, for example, Oregon, when it comes to roads or just their liberalism in general, I've always thought Oregon, when I worked there, was the most interesting place ever. And it's because you look at as I always said when I was there, downtown area, pure anarchy, anarchists.
Portland.
Then as you go out a mile, communist.
Yeah.
Then socialist. And by the time you get 30 miles out, it's stay out of my face conservatism.
Yeah.
Get out of my business, do that. And it's very, very interesting because I don't know if there's a plan. And you know that because of the 15 counties that wish to secede and become part of Idaho.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're to the point there where they're like, this can't work.
Right.
Forget about the aliens. If we don't agree with the aliens, we don't agree with we can't even live. We can't live in this state anymore. They don't feel, and why? Why do they want to secede? They don't feel like they're represented.
Mm-hmm. Right.
They have no power. Right. There are rules and regulations in their rural areas that they despise, that they think are counterproductive, that they believe are immoral. And Oregon, to me, was really one of the most interesting places I've ever lived because of the diversity of opinion, even though it was led by the liberalism of Salem and Portland.
Right.
But it was amazing place to be. And it's where I had my first hole-in-one, so.
Yeah.
In Hood River, Oregon. So.
Well, and we see that in these blue states where the outlying areas are absolutely not on board with what's going on in the major metro areas of these blue states. But the major metro areas control everything.
And so when you look at the numbers here, and when you look at the polling, and this is what's so frustrating to us, when we criticize the Republicans or we criticize Trump, it's not because we don't want them to win. Right. It's because we don't believe that they are effectively communicating on the issues where they can have landslide wins.
It's the opposite. We don't want them to lose.
Right.
And look, again, plenty of concerns with the Republican Party, but if Democrats get power.
Oh, yeah.
My gosh. And because the rebound for the Democrats, if they win, as insane as they are right now, they see that as, oh, look, people want this. This is exactly, it's working. This is exactly what people want. We're going to do more of the same, and it's going to be like nothing we've seen before.
And so when you look at a society where the one major political party, the vast majority of the public disagrees with them on the issues.
Mm-hmm.
The other political party, they agree with them on the major issues, sometimes by landslide numbers, and it's still 50-50. Something's wrong in the communication of the one party, which would be the Republican Party.
Yeah.
When if you take the names and the labels out, people go, no, we agree with that, 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 we agree with that. Then why the hell are you voting Democrat?
Yeah. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I really don't.
And that's where we are right now, less than 6 months out from this election.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And this is more evidence right here.
Right.
82.3%. Liberals are saying, no, we're not buying that you need this money to fix our roads.
Right.
You need more money? You say you can't fix our roads with all the taxes we pay right now?
Right. Good for them, by the way,
Yeah.
at least on this issue.
We are Red Eye Radio.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Just reading here about the Oregon bill that went down to defeat, and this was Measure 120, which would have raised the gasoline tax, which would have doubled vehicle registration fees, would have raised title fees from $77 to $216, and doubled the payroll tax for public transit. Measure 120's popularity doesn't come as a surprise. Nearly 250,000 Oregonians frustrated by potential gas tax hikes signed a petition that placed the measure on the ballot. Plus, gas tax hikes in Oregon are historically unpopular. Oregon voters have rejected gas tax hike proposals on the ballot more than 5 times since 1928.
Wow.
And Oregon's gas prices right now, 80 cents higher than the national average, and $1.38 more than a year ago. But when it comes down to it, you look at it, it's like nobody wants to pay any more taxes. Here's my question. If you put on there a tax on billionaires to pay for all this, would it have passed?
Ooh.
Or millionaires? Is it, I don't want to pay
I don't,
it, but if you did the same thing, if you said we are going to add another percentage point to the, when I was there, it was 9%. I'm not even sure what it is now. But if you added another 1% to the income tax for people making over $1 million, would that have passed?
I'm going to put $1 on that bet. Yes. I hesitate there because we've seen in the blue states what's happening. And you and I wondered the other night how many people are looking at that going, we can't let this happen. Rich people need to stay here so we can have jobs. They can create things, build things, employ people. I don't know to what effect, though, that is, we can't measure it until they vote on such items. So we'll see. Isn't there one, we were watching a prop that might hit the California ballot at some point. But we're anxious to see. Because on business things in the past several years, California has rejected things that would hurt business on propositions.
Do you remember? Was it 2020? Was it 2022?
It was somewhere.
Was
in
it
there.
was it the midterms where there were like 4 things?
Yeah.
Propositions on the California referendum. 4 different referendums where if you looked at it, you would think that California was a conservative state. Remember that?
Right, yes.
I can't remember what they were.
They voted pro-business because they knew it would hurt business.
Yeah.
So there is some consideration. I think a lot of people, even on the left, realize, well, This hurts mom and pop. This is not just going to hurt large corporations. It can hurt any business in our state eventually, and I think that's the question. Because you asked that question, if you had said we're going to tax the billionaires to pay for this and millionaires in Oregon, had it gone a different way, I'd say at this point probably yeah. But I can't be for sure. Look, they're leaving. The rich people are leaving these states because of the high taxes. So how much does that have an effect on average people that benefit from having jobs?
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Relief Factor Studios.
And he is Eric Hurley, and I'm Gary McNamara. I found it, Eric.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah.
Okay.
I wanted to see because this is the one thing that we've talked about. The most frustrating thing for us is the fact that on so many issues, when you take the personalities out of it,
yeah.
You will see even the most liberal people vote conservative. And what's most frustrating is there's a communication problem that Republicans have had for the longest time on it. And that's what's frustrating when you can win these issues, but you don't. And we used, the 82.3% defeat of the tax increases in Oregon yesterday. And then I thought about, okay, when was that California on some of these referendums sounded like this is a conservative state. And it was 2020, actually. It was 2020. Voters defeated Proposition 15 back in 2020, which would have raised money for schools and local governments by raising property taxes. Remember this?
Yep.
By raising property taxes on commercial and industrial real estate.
Yes, that's what it was.
Yes.
Right.
It would have changed aspects of Prop 13.
Right.
And so that's where you look at it and you say, okay, they were promoting that as we're going to tax business so we can raise money for schools and local government. That was defeated 52-48.
Well, and so you look at that, like commercial business. Well, that means small business,
Yeah, that's right.
renting.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
What have we heard, especially with post-inflation? We've heard over and over again, we've heard it a lot around here in our state, that the rent for restaurants and any business is going through the roof, and they can't afford to stay in business, and so they knew this even then in California back in 2020, and that's what you have to look at is something we've always said: the people come and go; it's the ideas that remain.
And listen to this: in Prop 16.
Mm-hmm.
Back in 2020. Voters defeated that, and that would have kept, let me just see here. That would have, voters defeated Proposition 16, keeping California's ban on affirmative action in place. That was 56-44. To keep the ban on affirmative action. That's where we looked at that and go, what's going on? Did everybody in Idaho move to California or what? All right. Others. This was interesting. The proposition to allow 17-year-olds to vote in primaries was defeated 55-45%. Let me see. Where was it here? Local rent control. California voters have once again defeated a rent control measure. Early results show no at 60% and yes at 40%. The measure is similar to the one on the ballot in 2016 that would have allowed cities and counties to implement rent control for certain residential properties that are over 15 years old. They said no. So they want to limit rent control, which, again, you see Mondami, it's all he wants to do.
Right.
Rent control, rent control.
Yeah.
And I think those were the ones we looked at, and we said, my gosh, what's going on in California? And that was back in 2020, and they have shown their liberal streak is greater than ever. But when you take the personalities out of it, that's why we've said when you take the political parties and the personalities out of it, the vast majority of this country is moderately conservative.
Yes.
And the frustrating part is the Republican Party needs to find a way to effectively communicate that you agree with us.
Well, here's the thing. You talk with people, anybody, everybody. Ask the question, would you like to lower your taxes? The answer is going to be yes. The answer is going to be yes. This idea of, well, no, I like paying more in taxes because it helps. It helps everyone. Sorry. There are very few people who think that way, and even in those cases, I wonder if they actually think that way. Because cost of living is everything.
I know.
It's the difference between being able to stay where you are or having to move.
And that's the frustrating thing.
And by the way,
that's a frustrating thing with the Republican Party right now. They don't seem to recognize
they're
that
not
after Biden lost because of it.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, but the stock market's going up. That's not pricing. The number of people on unemployment isn't as great as it was supposed to be. Doesn't matter. Inflation is moderating. It doesn't matter. It's what the prices are now. And you have to take that into consideration, especially when you won in 2024 by promising to bring down prices on day one.
Yep. It was a flaw to make that. It was wrong to make that promise, but you did it. And the only thing you can do is do more to get out of the way. And, look, you and I believe wholeheartedly in the mission against Iran. But the conundrum is we keep hearing, okay, we're close to a deal. We're close to a deal. We're close to a deal. We're giving them more time. We're giving them more time. You can't do that till November.
You can't do that, I don't believe, for the next couple of weeks. Let me just read a couple of sentences here because this is another challenge that they have. This is the New York Post, which is absolutely in agreement with the president going into Iran. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump is facing a moment of maximum peril in his handling of Iran, one that will shape his legacy, America's stature, and perhaps the course of history itself. We are now entering the 6th week of a 2-week ceasefire that was agreed to on a precondition that the Strait of Hormuz would be opened immediately. Yet it never happened, and Iran continues to attack our Arab allies while it dithers and strings out the talks. What gives? The president's big risk, political pressure over the midterms, and the buzzing of isolationists in Trump's own camp might nudge him to take any deal that lets him declare victory, save face, and bug out of Iran. That would be a catastrophic mistake, comparable almost to Neville Chamberlain's appeasement of Hitler at Munich in 1938. It would burn his legacy on the bonfire of political expediency. Walking away with the bad deal now would enhance the stature of Iran, vindicate its claims to regional power, place our Arab and Israeli allies in the precarious position, and signal to China, Russia, and the middle powers that America resolve is paper thin. It would also render meaningless the sacrifice of tens of thousands of brave Iranian citizens who were slaughtered for daring to stand up against their nearly 50 years of the mullah's tyranny. Trump has long condemned President Obama's 2015 Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action as a sellout deal that rewarded the Iranians in its pursuit of a nuclear bomb and support for terrorist proxies through the region. But the shape of negotiations today makes it plausible that in exchange for vague promises about weapons and nuclear enrichment, Iran could emerge with power to toll the Strait of Hormuz, sanctions relief, a ton of cash, and a burnished reputation covering up its savagery. This would be a statement of humiliation that would make Obama look pretty light by comparison. Plus, Iran would quickly rebuild its damaged infrastructure, resupply its depleted stocks of missiles, and resume arming Hezbollah, as we talked about yesterday. Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis, confident that U.S. threats of retaliation are empty. What future president would want to open the Islamic Republic can of worms once again? Meanwhile, Iran uses friends in Pakistan and Qatar to communicate that a great deal is just around the corner. Iran's peace proposal reportedly contained nearly all the outrageous demands, reparations, release of frozen funds, no more Israeli attacks on Hezbollah terrorists as its previous one. Yet Trump agreed yet again to hold off on any military action and allow talks to proceed for days more, perhaps even a week. The White House might have some tactical reason for this. Arab allies, for example, may need to prepare, their defenses, but goes on and says, this is the moment. And we said this last week. This week is the moment.
No, you're at the end. You can't do this one more time. Now, again, in his post on Truth Social, he named names, the leaders of these countries. And I thought, well, all right. That's putting everything on the table as long as the follow-through is there. Now, at the end of it, he said, if we don't get a deal, we're going in, and we're going in big. So that has to happen. There has to be a deal. And the problem with a deal is I don't trust any deal without certification that we have the uranium. I just don't. Saying they pledge to not build nukes or work on nukes or whatever, nothing is there. We have to have control. We have to have in our possession the uranium. Period.
It's interesting because I'm looking at the New York Post, the two headlines and opinion. Trump's steadfast approach to no nukes for Iran shows his unwavering resolve. Editorial, Trump's perilous moment of truth on Iran. We just read part of that editorial, and it's like, okay, yeah, there may still be something here, but this can't go on much further because obviously, and this is the thing too, the countering messages from the president when he says Iran wants a deal.
Right.
Well, okay, yeah, they want a deal. It's not your deal.
Well, that's it. And, the story yesterday, Iran basically wants the U.S. to come in and rebuild. And, they're looking for who knows how many things on their list of asks. And the other thing, too, by the way, is, okay, then what? You're going to lift the embargo and let them trade oil so they can fund their proxies?
He said that then they write here, every time Trump waves his fist at Iran and promises to take out a whole civilization only to reset when the clock when the time expires, he diminishes his image and squanders American credibility. The choices in the next few days will shape not only Trump's legacy, but also the role of the United States as a global power and the protector of last resort of the world's sea lanes. After Britain's 1956 Suez crisis, the British Prime Minister, Anthony Eden, walked away from Suez, handing Nasser control of the control of the canal and the power to shape the Middle East for decades to come. Asked what he would have done, Winston Churchill said, I would have never dared, and if I had dared, I certainly never have dared stop. President Trump acted boldly when he struck a blow against the Iranian regime and vowed to denuclearize it. Backing down now would demonstrate not peace through strength, but peace through weakness, and surely a temporary peace at that. Don't buckle now, Mr. President. Finish the job. That's from the New York Post. That's been absolutely a supporter of the president going in and doing it. As we have said, there might have been strategy to begin with, but now where we're at right now, it's like something has to be done.
Yeah, you've got days.
And it looks like the response initially from Iran is there's nothing.
Right.
Saw that yesterday.
Yeah.
We are Red Eye Radio.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. And you saw yesterday, the Iran's supreme leader, Khamenei, and that's, if he is actually saying this, used a series of posts on X to frame Iran's war as a jihad, a sacred religious war.
Right.
And all the experts are saying, okay, what they're saying is, we're not going to deal with you guys on anything.
Right.
We're daring you. You're not going to do anything. That's what they're saying to the United States right now. They sense weakness in the United States. We'll see whether we're weak or not in the next coming days. But this was probably not the reaction that the president wanted from Iran, because what do you do now? And when he said he said yesterday, we were just hours from going in.
Yeah, right.
Well, it doesn't look like anything has been accomplished. What are we, 2 or 3 days into it now? We're at Wednesday, so 2 days.
Yeah. This clock is ticking, and this has to be the last clock on what's going to happen, one way or the other.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.